What if the very thing you fear doing, the thing that feels impossible, was the very thing that could shift the entire dynamic in your relationship? What if ignoring an avoidant didn't mean losing them, but instead made them feel your value on a level so deep they couldn't stop thinking about you? Think about this. When you chase, when you over-explain, when you constantly reach out to fix the silence you're feeding into their fear. Avoidants don't run because they don't care. They run because closeness feels dangerous to them. And the more you push, the more they retreat. But here's the paradox side. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you reclaim your energy and redirect it back to yourself, something powerful happens. They start to notice the silence. They start to feel the space. And for the first time, instead of seeing you as a threat to their freedom, they start to feel your absence as a loss. The truth is, ignoring an avoidant isn't about playing games. It's about flipping the script. It's about showing them, without a single word, that your worth doesn't depend on their approval. And when you embody that, that's when the avoidant begins to feel the one thing they never expected: desire. A desire to come closer. So the question isn't, will ignoring them make them fall harder? The real question is, are you ready to stand so firmly in your worth that they can't help but notice what they stand to lose? Today, I want to give you 7 truths that will change how you see this game forever. When you go silent, you are no longer trapped in the cycle that keeps both of you stuck. An avoidance pattern is simple: when you come closer, they retreat. When you reach out again, they pull away further. It becomes a dance of pursuit and withdrawal, and it leaves you feeling exhausted, anxious, and invisible. But when you choose silence, you step out of that cycle. You remove your part in the dance, and suddenly the entire rhythm changes. What used to be predictable, your calls, your texts, your reassurance, disappears. And that silence begins to echo in their world louder than any words you could say. Silence is not emptiness. It's not weakness. It's a statement. It says, I am here, but I am no longer giving you my energy without reciprocity. And make no mistake, an avoidant notices. They may not show it on the surface, but deep down they start to feel the shift. For so long, they counted on you to fill the space with your voice, your effort, your love. But when you stop, they're forced to sit with the absence. And absence is powerful because it creates contrast. Think about it: when you're always present, always available, your presence becomes invisible, taken for granted. But when it's gone, it suddenly becomes noticeable. Silence forces awareness. They start wondering, why haven't I heard from them? What changed? Did I lose them? And even if they don't say it out loud, the questions stir something they didn't expect: curiosity. And curiosity is the beginning of desire. The beauty of silence is that it shifts the emotional balance. You are no longer the one proving your worth. Instead, the avoidant begins to feel the loss of your energy, and that feeling plants a seed. It grows into a realization they miss you, not because you begged them to notice you, but because your absence reminded them of your value. That's the paradox. By doing nothing, you say everything. But let's be clear, silence is not about manipulation. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about breaking the destructive cycle and reclaiming your power. It's about standing in the truth that your love is not a free, unlimited resource to be taken for granted. And the moment you stand in that truth, you change the dynamic forever. By ignoring, you are not delivering punishment. You are not giving them the silent treatment to make them suffer. What you are doing is holding up a mirror of respect for yourself first and for them indirectly. Respect is one of the most magnetic qualities a person can carry. When you stand tall in the energy of self-respect, you broadcast to the world, I know my value, and I refuse to shrink it to make someone else comfortable. That is not arrogance. That is alignment with truth. Avoidants are wired to pull away when they sense someone leaning too heavily on them. The more you chase, the more they feel suffocated. But when you step back, when you no longer beg for crumbs of attention, something extraordinary happens. They begin to feel a shift in the power dynamic. Instead of seeing you as someone who needs them, they start to see you as someone who respects themselves enough to let go. That respect radiates, and it changes the way they perceive you. Think about how the human mind works. We admire people who respect themselves. We are drawn to people who have standards. And when you stop pouring endless energy into proving you are worthy, You suddenly become the one who sets the terms of the connection. You are no longer auditioning for their love. You are inviting them to rise to your level. That invitation is subtle, but it is powerful. An avoidant may not understand this consciously, but on a deeper level, they feel it. They feel the difference between someone who clings and someone who honors their own boundaries. And while they may resist closeness, they cannot resist the magnetic pull of someone who embodies strength. Respect turns into attraction, and attraction turns into desire. The respect you show yourself through silence also commands respect from them. It tells them, without a single word, I am not afraid of your distance. I am not afraid of your withdrawal. I can stand on my own. That stance dismantles the dynamic where they hold all the power. Now, the energy shifts. They begin to feel the need to earn your attention rather than expecting it. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, they stop running. Your respect creates safety because it tells them you are not a threat to their independence. But it also sparks desire because it reminds them you are not afraid to walk away. And that balance, safety and scarcity, is irresistible. Avoidants fear closeness not because they don't care, but because they equate intimacy with a loss of independence. Somewhere in their past, they learned that being too close meant being smothered, controlled, or even abandoned. So when you chase after them, when you insist on constant reassurance, their nervous system interprets it as danger. Their walls go up, their heart shuts down, and they convince themselves that pulling away is the only way to survive. This is why so many people end up trapped in a painful cycle. They keep reaching for connection, and the avoidant keeps retreating. But when you stop chasing, when you step into silence and allow space, something unexpected happens. You remove the very thing that makes them feel threatened. You give them freedom without a fight. Freedom is the one thing avoidants protect with everything they have. The moment they feel someone trying to take it, they run. But when you ignore, you communicate a powerful message. I'm not here to cage you. I'm not here to smother you. You are free. And that paradoxically makes them feel safer with you than with anyone else. Instead of being the person who threatens their independence, you become the person who respects it. And when freedom no longer feels at risk, they begin to lower their defenses. They start to wonder, if I can have closeness without losing myself, maybe I can lean in a little. This is the secret most people never understand. You can't force an avoidant to come closer by pulling. You create closeness by stepping back, by showing them that their autonomy will never be stolen. That respect for their independence builds trust, and trust is the first crack in the armor they've been wearing for years. It's not about playing games. It's about creating emotional safety. Your silence gives them the space they crave, but it also shifts the energy. Instead of running from you, they start to feel pulled toward you, because you are the rare person who doesn't demand, doesn't pressure, doesn't cage them. You are the person who can love them without making them feel trapped. And once they realize that, freedom no longer feels like something they have to defend against you. It becomes something they want to share with you. And that changes everything. Your presence has power, but your absence has a way of leaving an imprint they cannot ignore. When you are always there, always available, your energy becomes something they take for granted. It blends into the background, like the constant hum of a refrigerator. You stop noticing it because it's always there. But the moment that hum goes silent, the room feels different. The absence draws attention to what had been overlooked. This is what happens when you stop chasing, when you stop filling the empty spaces with your words, your effort, and your reassurance. Suddenly, the avoidant feels the difference. Reflection is born in silence. When you are gone from their daily orbit, they are forced to confront themselves. There are no texts to respond to out of obligation, no calls to dodge, no emotional pressure to escape from. And at first, they may feel relieved, but relief is fleeting. Over time, that quiet starts to stir something deeper. They begin to remember the little things about you, the warmth in your voice, the way you made them feel seen, the stability you brought into their life. And because you are not there reminding them, these realizations feel organic. They believe they discovered it on their own, and that makes it even more powerful. Absence is not about punishment. It is about perspective. When you pull back, you create the space that allows them to truly evaluate what you mean to them. People rarely appreciate what is constantly in front of them. They need distance to recognize value. Just as a painting is best appreciated from a few steps back, your worth becomes clearer in the silence you create. What you're really doing is giving them the opportunity to feel. Avoidants often numb themselves to emotions because emotions feel overwhelming. But when you're no longer there, the emptiness triggers those very feelings they've tried so hard to avoid. They might not label it right away as missing you, but the unease they feel, the curiosity about where you've gone, the desire to reach out, those are the first cracks in their emotional armor. And here's the paradox. Your absence says more than your presence ever could. By not being there, you allow them to reflect on who you are to them without interference. That space is where they begin to understand not just what you gave, but what they stand to lose. And that understanding is often the beginning of change. Every time you stop pouring your energy into worrying about what they're thinking, what they're doing, or whether they'll come back, you reclaim something far more powerful than their attention. You reclaim yourself. This is where the real transformation begins. When you're caught in the cycle of chasing an avoidant, your identity gets wrapped up in their approval. Every unanswered text feels like rejection. Every moment of distance feels like abandonment. You start measuring your worth by how they respond, and without even realizing it, you hand them all your power. But when you stop, when you decide to redirect that energy inward, the shift is undeniable. Instead of analyzing their silence, you begin to invest in your own voice. Instead of chasing after their love, you start building a deeper love for yourself. You rediscover passions, pursue growth, and nurture your body, mind, and spirit. The energy you once spent holding on to them becomes fuel to elevate your own life. And here's the incredible part: that elevation makes you more magnetic than ever before. Avoidance and people in general are drawn to strength. They're drawn to confidence. They're drawn to the person who doesn't need them, but chooses them from a place of fullness. This is why reclaiming your power is so essential. It's not about getting revenge. It's not about making them suffer. It's about shifting the balance back in your favor, where your happiness is no longer dependent on someone else's inconsistent affection. And the moment you stand in that independence, the avoidant begins to feel something they rarely experience: respect mixed with desire. On a deeper level, this is about rewriting the story you've been telling yourself. For too long, you've believed the lie that if you just love them harder, prove yourself more, or stay patient enough, they will finally see your worth. But worth is not something you prove, it's something you embody. And when you embody it, when you carry yourself as someone who doesn't beg for validation, everything changes. They no longer see you as someone chasing after them. They see you as someone who is grounded, self-assured, and whole. And here's the paradox again. When you reclaim your power, you stop needing them to come back, and that's often when they do. Because power, confidence, and self-respect are irresistible, not just to them, but to everyone around you. By reclaiming your power, you don't just shift the relationship, you shift your entire life. Human nature is wired to notice and value what is scarce. It's a principle that shows up everywhere in life. Diamonds are treasured not just because they're beautiful, but because they're rare. Time feels precious because we only have so much of it. The same law applies in relationships. When your attention, your love, and your energy are freely available without boundaries, an avoidant will unconsciously devalue it. They assume it will always be there, always waiting, always ready to pour into them no matter how little they give back. But when you stop chasing, when you create distance, when you allow your attention to become scarce, everything shifts. Suddenly, what they once dismissed begins to feel irreplaceable. Scarcity makes people pay attention. The moment you stop reaching out, they notice the silence. The moment you no longer reply right away, they begin to wonder. They might not admit it, but the questions start swirling. Why aren't they here? Who are they with? Have they moved on? That curiosity grows into awareness, and that awareness grows into desire. It's not about manipulation. It's about letting human psychology work in your favor. For an avoidant, closeness feels like a trap. But when you step back, when you stop offering unlimited access, you create something they didn't expect: mystery. Mystery sparks attraction. Mystery makes them lean in. And most importantly, Mystery makes them realize that your presence in their life is not guaranteed. That realization stings because for the first time, they begin to imagine a world where you are no longer orbiting around them. This is where scarcity turns into value. Your love is no longer an endless resource to be taken for granted. It becomes something they must earn. And when something must be earned, it becomes more meaningful. They begin to see you differently, not as someone who is waiting, but as someone who is choosing. Not as someone desperate, but as someone discerning. That shift in perception changes the dynamic of the entire relationship. Scarcity also teaches you about your own worth. When you stop giving everything away freely, you remind yourself that your attention is a gift, not an obligation. You begin to carry yourself with a new kind of energy, an energy that says, I know my value, and I won't hand it to someone who doesn't honor it. That energy is magnetic. It doesn't just pull the avoidant closer, it pulls opportunities, friendships, and possibilities into your life. Scarcity doesn't weaken love, it intensifies it, because only in your absence do they truly feel the weight of your presence. And when they feel that, the game changes forever. The greatest gift that comes from ignoring an avoidant is not about making them chase you, it's about the transformation that happens within you. When you stop running after them, you begin to free yourself from the grip of fear. Fear of being abandoned, fear of being unloved, fear of not being enough. For so long, those fears dictated your every move, causing you to cling tighter, explain harder, and prove endlessly that you were worthy of their love. But when you let go, when you allow space and silence to exist, you begin to see that your love is not something fragile or conditional. It is strong, resilient, and whole. You stop operating from fear, and you start moving from freedom. And here's what's remarkable. Freedom in love is the exact thing an avoidant has been longing for all along. They are terrified of closeness because they associate it with losing themselves. But when you show through your actions that you can love them without trying to cage them, something begins to shift in their heart. They feel the rare safety of a love that doesn't demand, doesn't suffocate, doesn't trap. They start to see that connection doesn't have to mean control. And that realization cracks open a doorway for intimacy to grow where fear once stood. But this isn't just about them, it's about you. True freedom means you no longer tie your value to whether they stay or go. You release the desperate need for validation. You reclaim your energy, your dignity, your joy. And in that freedom, you begin to radiate something powerful. You become magnetic because you are whole. You are no longer chasing love, you are embodying it. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you build walls or shut off your heart. Quite the opposite. It means you love without clinging. You give without losing yourself. You stand in the truth that love is most powerful when it comes from choice, not fear. And ironically, that is the very thing that makes an avoidant begin to lean in. They feel the difference between love born from anxiety and love born from strength. They feel the safety of knowing you will never try to own them, only walk beside them. That is the paradox. Ignoring is not rejection. It is liberation. It liberates you from fear, and it liberates them from pressure. And in that shared freedom, real love has a chance to grow. When you step back and ignore an avoidant, you are not playing games. You are rewriting the rules of the relationship. You are showing them that your love cannot be earned through pressure or pleading, but through respect, space, and choice. This shift forces them to confront what life feels like without you constantly there to fill the void. That absence wakes something inside them that presence alone could not. It reminds them that your energy, your care, and your presence are not unlimited. They are sacred, and they must be valued. This journey isn't just about whether the avoidant falls harder for you. It's about whether you finally fall back in love with yourself. When you stop chasing, you stop betraying your own worth. You start realizing that you were never meant to live in anxiety, waiting for crumbs of affection. You were meant to stand tall, rooted in your own power, radiating a love so strong it doesn't beg, it doesn't bargain, and it doesn't break when someone pulls away. That strength transforms not only how they see you, but how you see yourself. And here's the truth: freedom is the bridge between fear and love. By ignoring, you give the avoidant freedom, but you also give it to yourself. You stop clinging to outcomes, stop tying your value to someone else's response, and you step into a higher place of living. That freedom is magnetic. It doesn't just attract the avoidant back into your orbit, it attracts opportunities, friendships, and experiences that align with your newfound power. You become someone who no longer asks, "Will they love me?" but declares, "I love me, and because of that, others will too." What if ignoring an avoidant made them fall harder? Yes, it might, but more importantly, it makes you rise higher. Because the person who is no longer afraid of silence, no longer afraid of absence, no longer afraid of letting go, that person is unstoppable. And when you reach that place, love is no longer about fear of loss. Love becomes about freedom, choice, and connection built on respect. That's the kind of love that lasts. That's the kind of love that transforms. So if you are standing in the middle of the storm, wondering whether to chase or to hold back, choose the path of strength. Choose silence. Choose self-respect. Choose to show, not through anger, but through action, that your worth is not negotiable. And as you do, watch how everything shifts. Watch how the avoidant begins to feel your absence, notice your strength, and recognize your value. More importantly, watch how you begin to recognize it yourself. At the end of the day, ignoring isn't about rejection. It's about reclamation. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your heart. It's about standing in the truth that you are not here to beg for love, but to embody it. And whether the avoidant leans in closer or not, you win. Because the moment you stop chasing, you stop losing, you start rising. And in that rising, you become the person you were always meant to be. Whole, free, powerful, and deeply worthy of love. Thank you so much for watching this video and spending your valuable time with me today. I truly appreciate every single one of you who shows up here to grow, to learn, and to transform. Remember, your worth is not defined by who stays or who leaves. It's defined by the power you choose to step into every single day. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss future uploads. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Because sometimes one video can shift an entire perspective. I want you to leave here with this truth. You are stronger than your fears, more valuable than your doubts, and more powerful than you realize. Keep rising, keep respecting yourself, and keep choosing freedom over fear. Thank you again for being part of this community. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself, stay strong, and always remember, you are worthy of love. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you soon.